Hello, Social 30-1. You might be wondering about our term projects and what do they mean? Well, to help you out with the term projects, I have a section in our online resource. So if you go to the online resource and hit Find Term Projects, then you'll see that there's a section of them at the bottom here, and there's some exemplars that come with them. One thing that students do hand in at times is a set of notes. So these are the notes that they take for each lesson, and sometimes embedded in those notes they have their key terms, their cast of characters. So two things I'd like you to take note of this year are key terms, key social studies terms that come up in our discussion. Terms that are new to you so that you can create a list, and then during our hangouts you can ask me what they mean. So one thing that you should take note of, one project if you will, to do throughout the term is to have an inventory of key terms. And you can see some exemplars of key terms here. So key social studies terms. And within this document, I have more than one previous student's attempt at wrestling with them. So here's one list of key terms, goes by lesson by lesson. Excellent job there. And then I have another student's exemplar. So this is what he did instead. This is the way that he organized them. Instead of by lesson, he organized them more by unit and attempted alphabetical. Then there's a third example of a glossary of key terms. So one way, especially to help you with multiple choice, is to take an inventory of the language of the course. And these key terms, they will be the descriptors, the building blocks of the multiple choice questions that you end up facing, both for me and on the diploma exam. So one, what I call term-long project that you need to work on to understand the content of the course is to take an inventory of key terms, and this document here has 4 or 5 exemplars of key terms. Also a document that you can check in on, and if you're struggling with a term, you can do a Control F and look up what it means, and feel free to copy some stuff and paste it into your own document so you can have an inventory of the terms that you struggle with, and this is a document that you can use as a review device as well before you go into the exams. Another way to unpack the course is to keep an inventory of cast of characters. Again, with the multiple choice, you're going to have a number of questions that are from the perspective of Hobbes, from the perspective of Locke, from the perspective of Adam Smith or Karl Marx or Robert Owen. And when you have questions like that, it's critical for you to understand their ideology. So this document, you need to create a list of the ideological perspectives of the key people that we see in the course. These individuals should have some insight into the role of government or the role of individuals within society. And there's many exemplars here as well. So you can take a look at the exemplars to see what kind of style you'd like to keep record of your key characters, and see if you want to distinguish them between political and economic theory so that you know which ones to use on a political paper versus an economic essay. And yeah, as you can see, this is a 60-page document because I think I have like 10 different student exemplars of the cast of characters. So we have key terms and cast of characters. By taking note of these two things, it'll help you prepare for the multiple choice, prepare for the content of multiple choice. But you might be sitting there saying, I sometimes struggle on the essays. Well, we have a key document to help you with the essays. In a analytical response, key to the assignment is to understanding the arguments for and against the ideologies that we study this year. Arguments for and against capitalism, arguments for and against socialism, arguments for and against democracy, arguments for and against different versions of authoritarianism. So what we have here for you is a document, arguments for and against the variety of ideologies that we study in this course. So again, similar to the other documents, there's a number of exemplars here because I've had a number of students do these assignments in the past. Some of these go into great depth, some of them are a little more generalized, straightforward, but definitely this provides you an example of how you could create an archive of arguments for and against the different ideologies we wrestle with, so that when it comes time to write an essay and you're like, well, I'm writing an essay that is attacking authoritarianism, what are the arguments I can use? Go to your document. The arguments are already outlined for you and begin to piece them together. That the biggest challenge students have on an assignment 2 analytical response is that they have maybe a thesis statement, but their body is driven just by evidence, not by argumentation. And in order to differentiate your work from the province, you need to have more convincing, compelling, judiciously chosen, and woven argumentation along with that evidence. And this document will help you create an inventory of them so that you can learn them and combine them into the voice that you're presenting into your essay. So this is another what I'd call a term project, because it's going to help you prepare for writing better essays. So far we have cast of characters, we have key terms, we have arguments for and against the different ideologies. Again, sometimes these are woven into class notes, sometimes students will just create different documents, separate documents for it. We also have all of the old A2s, all the old analytical responses on file. So we know the essays that students have had to write on the diplomas in the past. And I've created a document where we break those essays down. So we break them down. Here's the essay prompt, and this is the key vocabulary. These are the arguments that one could use in response to the essay prompt, and this is the evidence that fits as well. So this is a final term project, if you will, that by fulfilling it, you will end up seeing the big theme of the essays, the recurring theme of freedom and control and relationship between citizens and their government, and the different nuances of individualism and collectivism that are woven throughout that. And although the essay that you will write in August 2022 is an essay that we haven't seen before, it's going to be using the same language, the same style that these essays have done. So how do you prepare for that essay? By understanding what do these essays look like and how do we break them down. So this document has looked at all of the essays, all the analytical responses that have been used on diploma exams that have been released in the past, and it shows how do we plan for them. How do we break the source down into the goal, the challenge of the source, the key vocabulary, the assumptions, what is there but what isn't there? How do we respond to it with argumentation and evidence? And as you work your way through this document, you prepare for the essay. Now the document's already done for you. So what you could do for this document is do a save as and go back and make it better. So although the idea of these term projects can be very intimidating, it's summertime, you don't have a lot of free time. What I've done for each one is I've provided multiple examples. What you can do is take one or more of them, make it better. The term project assignment that you have here should be guaranteed 100%. What I'm giving you is exemplars that are already 100%. If you make something that's already at that 100% level, if you make it better, what kind of mark are you going to get? You're going to get 100%. Now, feel free to begin from scratch. Feel free to do it as you go through the course. You'll learn more by doing that. But definitely also feel free to use these as templates. So again, in summary, you're going to be bombarded with a lot of key terms. You need to take note of those. So when we talk about new terms, terms that are new to you, in my discussions, in my lectures, in the textbook, take note of them. These are the terms you need to be asking me for clarity. Second thing, we also have a cast of characters. These are the people that are recurring. We need to understand what do they believe about government and role as citizens, economics and politics and social nuances and connections to individualism and collectivism. We also have arguments for and against these major ideologies and this A2 document.